You're listening to Honey, We Made a Disney Podcast. Two friends since no mall trip was complete without a stop by KB Toys. Now guides in your nostalgic tour of Disney history, one magical film at a time. I'm JB Waggoner.
And I'm Eddie Ferguson. And on today's episode, we begin planning for D23 2046 when our kids are gone and done with college, as we review all the news that has come from this year's D23, the ultimate Disney fan event.
So fasten that safety restraint and pull up on the yellow strap. It's time to open the vault.
Cue that Disney sound effect.
Okay, Eddie, Babes in Toyland, I know you've been dying to talk about this. Oh, wait, no, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to punt that to next week. Executive decision.
I didn't have time to watch anything because I spent my whole weekend poring over all the stuff coming out of D23, wishing I could be there. And I can't tell you, I had a couple of daydreaming, planning. Okay, what would it be like if JB and I went, this, that? And that's ultimately when I realized, it's 2046 when we're... I actually looked it up, and just in case you were curious, that is when I'll say the four of us, we're done, all six kids are gone. Maybe we can afford something like that. Who knows?
I mean, with kids in college, I don't know that we will be affording it.
2046 is when you guys will be done. Yeah, okay. I looked for that. So
good call. Going that deep.
You'll be the last one.
Yep.
You guys. Yeah. So we've talked about this though. When this podcast blows up, we get some sponsors. Yep. Then that's when we will get to go, be able to afford to do this. This is a huge event that Disney does every 2 years in Anaheim. It's pretty much like Comic-Con, but Disney-Con, right? Like it's the big convention center is filled with Disney Imagineering booth, animation booth, merchandise. The Disney Archives brings out like any and everything connected, semi-adjacent to Disney, puts out like a Disney booth. And tens of thousands of people come to this and cosplay, Disney bounding, the whole 9 yards. And they've got panels and all these different things. But the big event, the big thing that everybody looks forward to is in the evenings this year at the Honda Center, seating over 12,000 people. They do these big tent pole events, right? Friday night was Disney Entertainment, all things Disney Entertainment. Then Saturday night was Disney Experiences, so cruise lines, resorts, parks. And then Sunday night capped it all off with the Disney Legends ceremony where they honored, I think it was about 12 or 14 different people have become Disney Legends now. That whole ceremony's out on Disney Plus. I'm in the middle of watching it right now. It's kind of fun. I enjoy hearing kind of the stories and the behind the scenes. What's cool about Disney Legends is it's people from like Harrison Ford, who we all know, to like somebody who spent 35 years working at Disneyland and worked her way all the way up through the ranks at Disneyland. So I think that's really cool. I like hearing all those varied types of stories. It's not just like the uber famous. It's people who have impacted the Disney company in all different ways.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of companies, especially entertainment companies, that would kill to have this much fandom for their product, for the content that they put out there, the stories they tell. There's nobody else like this that has anything short, like Warner Brothers or Paramount or Universal or Netflix even. Like none of them have an event like this where like their fans are just clamoring to just come, and it's just a giant come sell me on the next thing that I should be looking forward to.
No, it's brilliant. It's a huge marketing ploy, right? Like that at the end of the day, that's what it is. Like, hey, come give us your money so we can tell you how you're going to give us more of your money.
It's like paying to watch a bunch of trailers.
Yeah.
For this stuff in person. Wasn't Chapek still running Disney at the time of the last D23?
Yeah, so the last D23, which would have happened in 2022, was still it was under him.
Probably one of the last straws.
That was the one that kind of went down in history as a big wah. It was just like nothing was announced. I'll kind of touch on that once we talk about Disney parks. There was something said at the beginning of Disney parks section that was like, nod. We're really sorry about last time. We're going to do better this time. It was a great opening to all of that. So, Bob Iger opened it up, and he got a little too much praise and, credit, like, especially in like the Legends ceremony. Like, it's a little weird at times, some of the things that are said about him, but you're like, yeah, I mean, he probably will end up getting a Disney Legend Award, or he should.
So we want to just start jumping into some of these things because it's going to take us a little bit. So we're going to break this up into a few categories. The first one being D23. It's entertainment. So these are all the major studios, and they're mostly like films, television shows, those kinds of things. And then we'll also do the parks and entertainment on that side. And I'm sure Eddie will guide us fully through that. I've looked over a good bit and I've researched a little bit on the parks, but I'm going to let Eddie for sure shine his brightest during the parks. So we're going to start first with Disney animation. So they had 3 updates for us. Some of it just a teaser, but so 2, we've got Moana 2 coming out. That's the end of this year in December. So we had a first like real full trailer. We had like the teaser, and we had you get a couple lines from it, but this one we really got more of the story. And the big deal, Eddie, Moana's a big sister.
She's a big sis.
So you can just imagine all of the capers and conundrums that's going to be happening while she like either fights for her sister, or maybe her sister stows away. Who knows? We got Pua on this one, which I've loved the marketing around that, where they basically are like, yeah, we know we should have had Pua on the entire time in the last film.
Yeah, this was a really cool moment in the presentation. I can't remember her name, but the voice of Moana performs. They have Polynesian dancers. It was kind of a really cool moment of one of the songs coming in Moana 2. I'll hold my judgment until the movie comes out. I was not like overwhelmed, like, oh my, that's the most amazing song. But we also got The Rock came out. He made an appearance there and made an interesting like tag-on announcement. I don't know if you saw this. It was just like really quick. Like they have him out there for Moana 2, and it's like, oh wow. And then like, oh, one more thing.
Yeah.
And he's working on a monster truck movie called Monster Jam. But they snuck it in here. I don't think it's an animation movie. I think it is maybe studios.
There's so little information.
In this section.
There's so little information. Yeah. I didn't even know where to put it. Is this an animated thing? Is it a live action? They gave us nothing. Just it's The Rock and there are trucks. Monster trucks.
So Moana 2 looks very much like the same kind of storyline, just plussed up, just kind of taken to a whole nother level and going a different route. New characters, new sidekicks, or sidekicks shown more, like you said. So we're excited. We're planning on going. It comes out right at Thanksgiving. And we typically like to go to the movies Thanksgiving evening. So this will probably be what we go and see.
100%. So the next 2, we didn't get many details about these last 2. But to round out Disney animation, we got a release date for Zootopia 2, which they had been talking about and already kind of like basically greenlit them. But we get that in November 26, 2026. And Frozen was also teased. Frozen 3 in 2027, and that there is going to be 2 films. The Jennifer Lee got up there and said that you're going to find out why we needed 2 films to tell this more, because there was more to tell of this story. So Eddie, those 2 films, are you excited about those 2? Are there other information that you kind of gleaned from the presentation?
I'm not a huge Zootopia fan. I enjoyed the puns that they had for the movie posters in their presentation. They pretty much like all the big, inside snout to things like that. So other than that, like not a huge Zootopia fan. So that one was kind of like, okay. Frozen, that looked interesting. I enjoy when they show the concept art. I don't know if you've ever even seen some of the books that they release where it's just Disney art, just full of the concepts. And that was kind of all they had to show us from Frozen. Yep. It looked really cool. Had a couple of like little hidden things in there. Maybe the villain, just kind of some Norse lore there. So I'm intrigued. We'll wait and see.
Gotcha. So that's all we got for Disney animation. Pixar had quite a bit for that. Yep. The first being a limited Disney Plus series from Pixar, which I hadn't thought about.
Win or lose.
Yeah, win or lose. They've not done an Pixar original series that was made for Disney Plus. I enjoyed the trailer for this, although there's so many fantastic elements in it. I'm like, what? And they're just acting like it's normal. So I'm like, suddenly the people are flying, there's special effects happening, but they're a little league baseball team. It was crazy, but it was also fun.
So the premise is this is a little league baseball team the week leading up to their big championship game, and each episode will show that week from a different character's perspective.
Oh.
Which I think is an intriguing concept, right? Little, play with time, Christopher Nolan-esque, maybe. Who knows?
So that's got me very interested. Do you remember, does that come out this year or next year? I didn't write that down.
I believe it's later this year, if I remember correctly.
To look at my release schedule, it's this year, December 6th. It comes out later this year. So I'll be looking forward to that. So another big one that we've been anticipating, Toy Story 5. We get Andrew Stanton back in the director's chair for this.
Was that known before? I felt sure. Like I didn't know that until this moment. And that was one of the things I was most excited about, is to see Andrew Stanton back directing, writing.
Because he leads Pixar right now, right?
No, that would be Pete Docter.
Okay, I'm getting the two of them mixed up. Okay.
So they both started Pixar at the same time. Andrew Stanton is behind WALL-E, Finding Nemo, Finding Dory, a lot of those, original films. I didn't know this either until they announced it. He has written on every single Toy Story movie.
Oh, wow.
And I believe he was the one who directed Toy Story 3, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, it's him and Pete Docter are kind of the two original guys, but he has taken some time off to go and do a few other projects here and there. So it's kind of cool to see him coming back for a big thing. And to be honest, got me more excited or more hopeful for what Toy Story 5 could be, that you're putting arguably the best person you could on a Toy Story film.
Well, it's if Toy Story 4 showed us anything, we may not have been asking for more Toy Story movies, but they can still deliver an interesting and compelling story. I don't know how they're getting all the toys back together, because they left them in the fourth, like leaving, and now they're back. They're getting all the artwork, they're back together, or this might be
figure it out.
Or it's a prequel, who knows? But it seems like they're going to be fighting electronic playthings, aka iPads, with the story art of her like underneath the blanket, and apparently 50 rogue Buzz Lightyears. So not sure what that's all about. But Toy Story 5, that's coming out in summer of 2026.
The next one we got totally out of the totally out of the blue. And as we read this description, you're going to scratch your head and go, what? Like only Pixar would try and do a movie based off of this. But it's called Hoppers. And let me just read this description for you, okay? This is straight from Pixar's website. What if you could talk to animals and understand what they're saying? In Disney Pixar's all-new feature film, Hoppers, scientists have discovered how to hop human consciousness into lifelike robotic animals, allowing people to communicate with animals as animals. The adventure introduces Mabel, an animal lover who seizes an opportunity to use the technology, uncovering mysteries within the animal world that are beyond anything she could have imagined. What?
A little girl puts her human consciousness into a beaver. It just like, really? That's what we're doing here? Like,
well, they got Bobby Monahan and John Hamm to be in this, two incredible actors. So
this premise leaves me with a lot to be desired. Evidently, John Hamm is like a developer, a mayor of a town who's trying to develop it and make money. And okay, we're gonna go against the rich overlords and save
the bureaucracy,
save the animal planet. Just not. I don't know. I tried to send you a TikTok and then you sent, which I saw on a web browser, and then you were like, I don't have TikTok, I can't watch this, and it's a dude just going off like this sequel. What about the originals? How about a little beaver that you can put your human consciousness in? That sucks. Okay, Avatar 3, Avatar. That's what I thought. It's like, that's why we're doing the sequels, because these originals suck. I have all the hopes in the world that it won't, and that it'll be original and different, but I'm getting a lot of Turning Red vibes right now. That just makes me a little worried.
Speaking of Turning Red, they took the director from Turning Red, and she has stepped in to take over Elio. This is why Elio got pushed back a year. They swapped directors, and they swapped like the main characters. America Ferrara was the aunt, and now it's Zoe Saldana.
Wow.
So some big changes, not just voice actors. Like they swapped out directors.
I saw that they were promoting, Zoe Saldana, she has joined the cast, and I'm like, after you already were promoting the movie and you're changed, like what happened here? And that makes more sense. They got a new director.
Yep.
Some different talent. They probably rechanged some of the storyline. Now I'm intrigued. Elio has been the forgotten child of Pixar because it got booted because of originally from the writer's strike. At least that we were told. So now I'm like, wonder what's gonna be different about the story.
Yeah. With this though, I don't know if you were, and I didn't write down the dates, but each of these, I think it's starting in 2026. We're going to go back to getting, at least for 2 years, 2 Pixar films a year. They're going to do a spring release, and they're going to do a beginning of summer release of Pixar movies. Which is, we'll see. I'm excited, but nervous.
So in 2025, at least, Elio is on for the summertime, but I'm not sure what other. Maybe I have the dates wrong in here.
No, it's 2026.
Oh, 2026.
There was at least 2 in 2026, and it looked like they were setting up 2 for 2027 with the announcement of this last movie.
So Hoppers, is that going to be 2026? That would probably line up with that. Okay, gotcha. So Hoppers and Toy Story 5. Okay. Gotcha. Well, another sequel, because we've got a couple more sequel things to talk about here for Pixar. We get the tease that they are currently working on Incredibles 3.
And Brad Bird came back for it.
Ooh, how are you feeling about that, Eddie?
I love the Incredibles movies. I think they're just strong and solid. Yeah. They waited probably too long for the second one.
Yep.
It just lends itself to sequel. So I'm eagerly anticipating this one. I wasn't expecting it though. Honestly, I was expecting an Inside Out 3 announcement. So for them to come out with this one was really, really cool. Though in a couple of interviews, Bob Iger did like heavily tease.
It's like, I'd like to see an Inside Out 3.
And yeah, let's, I'm like, yeah, of course you would after it makes over $1 billion.
I mean, they'd be silly to not do an Inside Out 3.
Right.
With as much money as they're making from the second one. So that rounds out. Oh,
let's get to, no, I was going to say, let's get to what is arguably the thing I left this most excited about.
We're moving on to Lucasfilms. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And let's just pull the Band-Aid off. We've been waiting for this. A trailer for Skeleton Crew, which is the Disney Plus series that's Amblin-esque, which they turned into a verb somehow, or adjective. I forget my grammar right now, but that's coming out December 3rd. So we have an actual date for it and a trailer. Eddie, I got to tell you, after coming out of the last Disney Plus series, my expectations were real low, super low. And Eddie, they did it again.
They did it again.
They created and this one, I'm pretty sure I had tears in my eyes. I don't know what it was about watching these little kids. Like, they hit this trailer. Whoever made this trailer, I just like chef's kiss to you, because they hit every single last thing that I wanted from this series with these little kids. And you get them, they're like dreaming about the future and they find an old Jedi lair. But then when it comes to the end, and then just the keys come off, and then they go past them, and then they go to Jude Law, and he's a Jedi. We didn't know what he was, but he's a Jedi. Eddie, I was emotional watching this trailer.
I've watched this trailer multiple times. I've lost count how many times we've gone back and rewatched this. I love that they are turning Amblin into an adjective or a genre. They mentioned specifically E.T. and the Goonies. They put emphasis on the Goonies, which is one of my favorites. So yeah, this just had it all. What's fun about this is it's original. It doesn't look like they're trying to fit it in somewhere else. Like
no cameos from any other.
Yeah, and
people.
just let it set.
Do you know where it fits in the canon?
I don't, and you know what? I really don't care. Like I think that's what's hard is they're trying so hard to do this or do that, and it's just hasn't been working. And so, one of the things that we loved about The Mandalorian is it just kind of set out on its own. And then gave us those moments, later on. So I hope this does this as well. By far, I think this was what I was most excited about seeing come out of this, is having this trailer, knowing that it's coming soon. From this panel, this is what I was most excited about.
So we got 2 more things from Lucasfilm. The one of which is what we've been waiting for is what's happening with Andor Season 2. When are we going to get it? So they for sure released that it's going to be 2025 when it'll finally release. But then it's also going to, what I took from it was it's going to span about a 4-year period. So the last one, it was kind of like back to back moments. Maybe there was a little passage of time here or there. But it's going to cover about 4 years of story, which is super interesting to see how they gonna pull all of that together. Like, we don't usually get like these kind of stories spanning that much of time. And I did see that one of the actors that's coming back is the character Saul Guerrera is going to be a part of this, and I believe also Inspector Krennic or Director Krennic will also be in this too, which were all 2 highlights from Rogue One. So I'm glad to see them again. Yeah,
I think everybody would agree. Like, this was probably one of the best pieces of new Star Wars. Maybe better than The Mandalorian even. I don't know. Maybe on par. So yeah, we've just been waiting. I wish we would have gotten more. They've been in production, so it's like, come on, somebody couldn't have given us at least a teaser trailer, something a little bit more, but some cool concept art. The cast announcements was really exciting.
Last for Lucasfilm, we got a mention. I mean, we didn't get much, but from The Mandalorian and Grogu, which started filming, I believe, a couple weeks ago, I believe he said. But there was a shot of Grogu in full Beskar suit, not just the little plate. So did that get you to stir you up a little bit, Eddie?
Yeah, I was also trying to figure out like the whole time if they're in production and Fantastic Four is in production right now too. How is Pedro Pascal doing this? Did they crack teleportation?
He goes from one set to the other. It's all on green screen, so he just literally just changes his outfit and goes back. Yeah, or it's all the gold, the green, whatever dot balls all over him for tracking. Right. That's a good no. I don't know how he's doing both of these.
But yeah, that because they talk about Fantastic. Well, let's move on to Marvel, I guess. They talked about Fantastic Four, and in fact, in a different panel, they had the Music of Marvel panel Friday during the day, hosted by Michael Giacchino, and he brought like the 5-minute theme for the Fantastic Four. And like the whole hall just stopped and listened to the theme for a while, which you can listen to online. So that was really cool. And that Fantastic Four is in production.
So Marvel, they gave us a few nuggets here. One of which is Ironheart. We finally have more information about Ironheart. That's going to be coming out next year. If you remember, she was a character in the second Black Panther film. She's like the female aspiring Iron Man. So she's getting her own spinoff. We've been waiting to kind of hear more details about it. That got pushed to 2025. And I found this super interesting. Mm-hmm. Anthony Ramos from Hamilton. He just always looks like a good, nice, sweet human being. Like you just rooting for him. He's playing a bad guy in this, Eddie.
Yeah. I really like him in Into the Heights. I don't know if you guys saw that movie.
Yep.
He plays the lead in that. So yeah, and to your point, in that, he's just the lead, sweet, wonderful human being. So yeah, to see him take on a villain, that'll be a lot of fun.
That definitely puts a little bit more, perks my ear. Oh, okay, here we go. So that's coming to Disney Plus in 2025. Another thing coming to Disney Plus next year, next March 2025. We're getting Daredevil Born Again. We've been waiting. We've been expecting this. Daredevil, the character has been popping up in other series and movies here and there. Kingpin's coming back. He had a part to play in the Echo series earlier this year that I forgot even happened. But Vincent D'Onofrio is coming back. He was a major part of the Netflix Daredevil series. So glad he's back, as well as Punisher is coming back. I forgot where we had left off with him in the Daredevil series. He was in season 2, I believe. But Eddie, 18 episodes.
18.
This is
it's a full show.
This is almost broadcast level, like broadcast about 20, 22, 24, 18 episodes.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's crazy.
No, I love that they're not acting like that didn't happen, like they didn't make those Netflix shows. Yeah. I'm appreciative that they're bringing them in, especially Daredevil. That was by far everybody's favorite.
Yeah.
And bringing all the same, people back from that. So it'll be interesting to watch for sure.
Last but not least, we have, for Marvel at least, that kind of rhymed there. There we go. Agatha All Along, that premieres in September. We got a new trailer with more details, more storyline.
They sang live on stage. All the actors came out.
Oh goodness, I need to watch that.
And sang the new song, "Witches on the Road," I think is what it's called. And they even gave a nod to the songwriters, the Anderson Lopez. They brought them out because they wrote the song and a couple other things for all of this. So, and it got a lot of love, like at the actual convention. One of the buses bringing people from the convention hall to the Honda Center was like a double-decker themed to Agatha.
Oh, fun.
Like the lower level, like you actually walked through. And then afterwards, they drove around Anaheim as an Agatha All Along karaoke bus where they were doing karaoke on the top or whatever. So yeah, they were repping it. They were trying to get some hype going there.
I'm getting excited. That comes out in later in September, which is going to be great because it's going to end right in time for Halloween, I'm assuming. So
yeah, we've already determined I'll probably be watching that one on my own. Sarah does not like scary things at all.
That's funny. Okay, well, let's close the chapter on Marvel because it didn't have a ton. But Disney films. Is there a name for this? It's just Disney Picture, like because pictures.
They call it Walt Disney Studios, but they threw in one Fox one because, well, it's the biggest movie ever made. But otherwise, just Walt Disney Studios.
Gotcha. And that movie, Eddie, is Avatar 3. We finally got the name for it as well as the release date.
Yeah, so it's going to be Avatar Fire and Ash, going to the volcanoes of the planet and the tribe who lives up there near there. And it is coming out December 2025. No footage. They didn't really. That's it. We got like one piece of concept art. They had the actors come out and talk during the panel, and it was one of the most awkward actors things ever. But James Cameron, of course, he hammed it up and did a great job. I love these movies. I know that it's like in fashion to like hate on Avatar, but like they're the highest grossing films of all time for a reason. I enjoyed these stories. The visual spectacle there's nothing to compare to it.
No, yeah. The experience of going to the theater and watching it in 3D, it's the only 3D experience that I go see. And it's, as Disney loves to put, it's immersive. It's so good.
So I was really excited about this. The whole Fire and Ash volcanic that had been teased. People had kind of been guessing at that one for a while, so it was no big surprise. But I'm excited for December 2025.
Also coming in 2025, I was not expecting this at all. Lilo and Stitch live action, and we actually got a look at animated live action Lilo or Stitch. Yeah. I said it's like the wrong person. He eats like a bunch of stuff. I don't know if it made me excited for this because most of these live actions are pretty awful.
I'm not. My opinions on live actions are well stated. And this is not. I love Lilo and Stitch. This is one of our favorite movies as a family. My Disney pin collection, like when you go to the parks and you do pin swaps and stuff, is of Stitches. Like I have well over a dozen Disney pins of Stitch, like one of my favorite characters. And I'm just like, I don't need this. I'm good. Like we're real happy with the animated movie. We even enjoyed the animated series, Lilo and Stitch, the series, big hit in our house. But a live action one, we got to stop. Can we just stop?
I agree. Just no. On happier note, because you loved the first season of this.
I did.
Eddie, Percy Jackson's season 2.
I don't know if I'd use the word loved.
You said it was the best series you've ever watced on Disney Plus, if not any other series.
I did not say that. Now, that's what you said about Miss Marvel, but No, I greatly enjoyed Percy Jackson. It is exactly what it needs to be for like a young adult novel.
If you're into
remake,
middle-age action and fantasy,
middle-age action.
Middle school.
There we go. We're middle-aged, JB. I don't know if you realize that. We're almost to middle-aged. Yeah, it's a new season. It's no surprise. They teased it. They had a cool little exhibit at the conference. So yeah, that's exciting. I loved this next announcement. This was probably the coolest thing that happened in the actual Honda Center. So David Blaine has a new series coming out on National Geographic called Do Not Attempt. Everybody who went to the Honda Center as they walked in were handed a black envelope that said do not open. So over 12,000 people were just handed a black envelope that said do not open. David Blaine comes out on stage and tells everybody, you remember you got that envelope? Yeah. Now open it. And it was a custom designed by him D23 deck of playing cards with all he said was, have fun exploring it. It is full of hidden messages and symbols made just for you. Nobody else is ever going to get these. They're never going to be sold. They're just for this. Then he proceeds.
And then they were on eBay that night.
Sure. Then he proceeds to what he said was the largest card trick in history with over 12,000 people. And if you can hop on, I don't want to spoil it, but he does this card trick with all of those deck of cards. So over 12,000 deck of cards live on stage. It was pretty amazing what he does there. So that was a really cool moment. I like those National Geographic series that they put out there on Disney Plus. So I'll be interested to catch this one.
Another drop that we had heard about maybe a couple days ago, maybe a couple weeks ago. They are reuniting the cast of Freaky Friday for the sequel, Freakier Friday, with Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis. So they gave us some more details about that.
Yeah, they are going to throw it in the mix now where Lindsay's character has a teenage daughter. So it's a 3-way swap. There's grandma, mom, and granddaughter.
That's insane. I don't know if I'm emotionally ready for that. Oh, yes, I am. I'm just not going to go see it. Probably. The same for me.
What did we review? I thought we
gave it. We gave it
pretty
fair.
high.
We gave it fair, but I don't know that it's a must watch for me again.
Did you hear?
Let alone the next one.
Both of our voices went up there. We gave it a pretty high.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. Another movie that is a definitely not, but I'm very interested in I had a very interesting response to this. So we finally got a trailer for Snow White, the movie that we kind of thought maybe they'd kill and move on after all of the bad PR, but we got a full teaser trailer. There's moments from Snow White. Eddie, did it help you feel better about the direction of that and the cast that said many unflattering things about Disney and the first ever feature animated film?
No, didn't change a single thing for me. I don't want these remakes and definitely don't want this one. I had really hoped that they were just going to Batgirl this one.
Cancel it,
but it looks like they're going to double on. I think what they are doing is, hey, they pushed it back, right? And they reworked it where now it's CGI dwarfs.
Dwarfs, yeah.
That look weird. And I don't understand why you're doing those CGI. Like that's still, I think they're just hoping everybody just forgets about all the bad stuff that happens about it. Like, it's enough time. Everybody will forget about it. But,
I'm pretty sure it's going to tank hard because I think that she has burned so many bridges with her comments, and they've kept her on a leash for the past year to not basically don't talk.
Right.
Just stop talking because whatever you're saying is not helping us. I'm going to say this, Eddie. The trailer was exactly what you would imagine a live action remake of Snow White would look like from Disney.
Yeah, they copy the art direction point by point from the original.
It didn't. I wasn't going, see, this is I was like, this looks like every other remake they've done. It's not. It's like visually fine, and it's probably gonna suck. So
I heard one of the YouTubers that I follow who was reviewing all of this. He was like, I got kind of the same reaction to this that I did for Pinocchio. And he was like, Pinocchio followed the original really well. It was great. Like, we were really excited, but I didn't enjoy Pinocchio, and it didn't really help it. These were the only two that we got announced, or that were spoken of, I should say. They were the only two that were spoken of, and they were previously announced. Like, they've been in production for a while. And so I thought it was interesting that we didn't get any additional remakes announced or talked about. Like, they had
maybe they're going away from it.
Well, the only one that they have announced that wasn't talked about was Moana. Like, they had the whole the rock on the beach announcement that a live action Moana was in the works, and then we haven't really heard anything else about that, and it wasn't mentioned here, which is weird. I don't know why you would do the live action remake while you're in the middle of doing the sequel to the animation. So my hope is these do terrible and they just abandon this whole concept.
Just stop. Yeah.
They fired the guy who started the whole thing, so maybe they're like, we've spent too much money on these two movies. Let's just cut our losses, put it out there, and be done.
Here's a thought, Eddie. Maybe they've cut it. We don't know that they've cut it, but they said, hey, Rock, what's a pet project you have that we would love to greenlight for you? I would love to do monster trucks. Great. Let's get you up there. You talk about it. We've just made this deal, and then it's going to slowly go away after Moana.
Act like we never made that.
Yeah, yep. Exactly. I like that.
I would love that. I would love that.
Surprise for me was this last piece from Disney Films, which was Tron Ares. I had no idea there was a third Tron movie. At first I was like, wait, this is a new ride? What's going on here? Like, no, that's a new movie starring Jared Leto. Jeff Bridges is back, and Nine Inch Nails is going to score this, and they did The Social Network. So that made me very excited. I guess they had tried to do it, had a previous one that they were working on in 2015 and it got canceled. So 2017, it kind of came back. But yeah, this has been many, many years in the works. The previous one was like 2012, I believe, 2013, somewhere around there.
Can I make a confession? I've not seen any of the Tron movies. None of them.
I haven't seen the original, but I did see the new one, the second one.
I want to. I probably should. It's just not something that has come up for me. Sorry.
Someday, Eddie, you should just sit down and watch it. Then how would you enjoy the Tron ride, Eddie, if you don't know this? I don't know if the story even matters on the Tron ride.
I mean, I kind of want to watch them just to be ready for that, but yeah. The random thing that was kind of announced or brought up is since this was classified as Disney Entertainment, not just the studios, Disney on Broadway had a really strong moment. I would highly recommend, if you don't watch any other clip or sequence from this, maybe on par with the David Blaine thing, was they did this really cool medley. Like, they brought in all these different performers from Disney on Broadway and did a cool medley of a whole bunch of different songs, including what was announced is the new Broadway show, which is going to be based on Hercules, which was a pleasant surprise. That was a really cool moment if you get a chance, especially if you like live theater like that. But the other thing that was announced that was pretty exciting, coming to Disney Plus next year, is a live recording of the Broadway show for Frozen, which I enjoy those. I've watched all the other ones that they have come out with. So that'll be a fun thing to be able to watch then.
Is Frozen currently on Broadway, Eddie?
Yes.
Gotcha.
I don't know if it's on Broadway, or if it's touring, but yeah, I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
Well,
and then
yep.
One last announcement from Disney on Broadway that I think everybody has secretly been like, this has to be happening, right? But since Disney acquired Fox, they now have the ability to turn The Greatest Showman into a new musical on Broadway. So that was their big thing that they announced, was that they're turning The Greatest Showman, which I think everybody saw that. Everybody loved that. Like, have you met anybody who didn't enjoy The Greatest Showman?
I know some picky people who said, well, the musical numbers don't progress the story. I'm just like, shut up. This is great. Stop. I didn't want to like this, and I walked out loving it, in love with it. Well, that closes the first half, now that we're 46 minutes in.
We'll go quicker here.
Disney, Walt Disney Pictures. It's closed, that chapter. We've talked about everything that they've released and a lot of things to be excited about. Questions, intrigue. I think intrigue is the big word for this.
Yeah, I think the second night for Disney Experiences was definitely the panel where there was just these bombshells, big announcements that nobody had any idea. We were all eagerly anticipating. But movies kind of has these other formats or opportunities to announce things, release Comic-Con. Trailers, or Parks really doesn't have that. Like, this is it. It's their space to be able to do that. So this was Saturday evening. The chairman of Disney Parks and Experiences, Josh D'Amaro, hosted it. And at the very beginning, he says, I've got a lot to share, and everything we're going to share is in active development. This isn't blue sky.
Shots fired.
He says this because the last few D23 events, all they did is gone up there and done what Imagineering calls as blue sky, which is pretty much daydreaming. Hey, we could do this. Maybe we're thinking about that. And there were no real announcements for years. And so everybody's going, hey, what's going on? Like, nothing new is coming to the parks, So everybody was very trepid coming into this. So when he leads and says that at the very beginning, okay, buckle up. This is going to be big. This is really impressive. And this was the one I was most excited about. They didn't live stream it this year, so I literally watched it from some dude holding his phone in the Honda Center live streaming on YouTube. And you hear him several times go, "Whoa. This is so amazing. I hope," he goes, "this is totally worth it if they take my channel down for this." And we're all thankful for that. This, I'll just kind of frame this before we get into the big announcements. This was like a big concert. Like, they don't have teaser trailers and stuff to be able to do. So they had a lot of musical numbers. About half of them, you're kind of like, I could have done without that. Like, really? You're a recording artist? You couldn't really carry that tune. Yeah, there were some really weak moments in those songs where you're just like, But I think everybody's highlight was the Deadpool sequence. We didn't know somehow Deadpool has a big love for Disney parks, but they bring out Deadpool to do all of this irreverent humor about Disney parks. He's got a big musical number. Not a Deadpool fan myself, but it was comical. He kind of had a lot of inside jokes for people who know Disney parks really, really well. So that was kind of how it was framed to everything. But to announcements, very excited about all these announcements. To which Sarah and I were going, hey, we need to start planning like our international trips and everything. Disneyland Paris, their second park, is under a huge rename, restructuring, just total redevelopment. It was announced that The Lion King will get its first ever land and ride.
We were talking about that when we were reviewing like it doesn't have
anything.
A presence.
I mean, it's got like a musical show here or there, but like ride. And you think is huge. It's huge. Yep. The Lion King is like arguably one of the greatest Disney animated films ever made. It's 30 years old and there's no ride. There's no dark ride based off anything.
Not even in Animal Kingdom. What are we doing?
Yeah. So they announced that. It looks really. They said it's based off the animated film, but all of the concept art looks like it's from the CGI film. So everybody's really confused about this, but we'll see what we actually get and what comes from it. The other international parks, both the Shanghai and Hong Kong, are getting a Spider-Man roller coaster, which looked really cool. But I don't frequent that part of the world too often, so I don't know about that. And Disney Cruise Line announced that over the next several years, they're going to add 4 more additional. And this is on the back of been releasing news about 4 ships currently. So this is going to bring their total up to 13 cruise ships. Now, mind you, just like 10 years ago, they only had 2. Like 10, 12 years ago, they only had 2 ships. So they are going all in on the cruise line. Like they are making themselves into a major player in the cruise industry, which is growing, right? It has just been booming post-COVID. So yeah, that was a pretty big announcement that they're going to have 4 more. They're bringing their ship total up to 13, which was pretty exciting.
My wife was pretty excited that I don't know which of the cruise lines it's going to be on, but there is going to be a Haunted Mansion themed bar at 2 of them. Yeah, they announced 2 of those. She's like, we're going to have to add that to the budget. We're going to need to get on that thing because I will not leave it.
Yeah, the soonest coming out is the Disney Treasure. We've had the same conversation, but man, are they expensive. Whew.
Yeah.
So 2046, when we're done with kids and paying for all of that, then maybe we can dream about that. Let's get to the domestic parks. Let's start with the park you are most familiar with, Disneyland. Some pretty cool, pretty amazing things were announced. Avatar is coming to Disney's California Adventure, like a full-on Avatar land based off of The Way of Water, to which everybody, by, all the people guessing and everything from the concept art, it looks like they're taking the new Pirates of the Caribbean ride that they made for Shanghai, and they're bringing that ride system to Disney's California Adventure.
But there's already a Pirates of the Caribbean ride in
No.
Disneyland.
The ride vehicle, like the ride technology.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
for Disneyland Shanghai, they created this whole new ride technology, which are these giant magnetically controlled boats that flow in and out of these huge domed theaters. They developed this for that pirate ride. They're bringing that technology. It looks like they're bringing that technology to do an Avatar: The Way of Water ride. That looks pretty impressive. But that's coming to Disney's California Adventure. Also coming to Disney's California Adventure, a ride based off of my favorite Pixar film, the first ever Coco ride. This is what I'm buying the tickets for. Yeah. So that's pretty impressive. The other thing that they announced that everybody just like teared up immediately, coming to the Disneyland Opera House in rotation with Great Moments with Lincoln, the first ever Walt Disney animatronic.
Wow.
You'll be able to sit, and it's like Walt is sitting on the edge of his desk in his office, and kind of like how, Lincoln ties together like his great moments. That's going to be kind of it'll be a show like that. It'll be debuting for the 70th anniversary of Disneyland, which they were talking about, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome. I think that's been well overdue. I think we're all just like that. It should have been done a long time ago. I'm just now looking at the Coco ride. That looks kind of like I know we just said Pirates of the Caribbean, but like a boat slow ride through kind of the city and stuff. At least that's what it looks like.
That was a part. It's funny that you picked that up because that was a part of the announcement. That's how they announced it. They said it is in the spirit of our classic dark ride boat rides. Sweet. Like Pirates of the Caribbean. That's a great idea
for that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Just like relaxing, slow moving, and like, let's just enjoy the music. Let's just bring in all of the goodness of that movie. Also, two other things that were announced. The Disney's California Adventure has the Avengers Campus, and right now has just had the Guardians of the Galaxy rethemed to Tower of Terror, and then the Spider-Man ride. They announced not just one ride, but 2 rides are coming to Avengers Campus. A big e-ticket called Avengers Infinity Defense, which looks like kind of has, and both of these look like 2 new ride systems that Disney's never done before. The other one is Stark Flight Lab. They actually showed a picture of Bob Iger and Robert Downey Jr. testing this at Imagineering. And you sit in these seats, and it's these big robotic arms that like give you a test flight, and it'll be changing out with different heroes that come in, and you like do a test flight. So each time you ride it, it can be a little bit different. And they said Robert Downey Jr. is coming back to reprise his role as Iron Man for this. So he is coming back to Marvel in full force.
Miss those paychecks. That's what will happen.
That's really what it was. And then lastly, we already mentioned some Mandalorian news, but they announced that Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run is getting a new mission based off of the Mandalorian and Grogu.
Oh, so fun.
In the Millennium Falcon, you can go on a mission with the Mandalorian and Grogu, which is great. You know, that ride was designed to have that ability to be able to update and do different things. So I'm glad they're finally getting around to doing that. And that's coming to Disneyland and Disney World.
Sweet. Sign me up.
All right. Now let's go to Disney World, all the way down there in wonderful Orlando. They announced a couple of like really things that just took everybody by surprise. There was a whole bunch of people that thought maybe they won't make any announcements about Disney World since Universal's doing a new theme park. Maybe they're just not even going to try and compete. No, Disney was like, here, hold my Fresca. We're going to go all in on this. So first of all, coming next summer, a brand new nighttime parade, which if you've ever been in a Disney park and got to experience a nighttime parade, there's just something other level magical about them. They're fantastic. So that was really exciting. They confirmed and announced like dirt is beginning to move in Animal Kingdom, my favorite park, for a tropical America's land.
Yeah.
Where I happen to live. I feel seen. I know quite a lot about the tropical Americas. So that's really exciting. They are creating an original Indiana Jones storyline that'll be reskinned for a ride that was there. And then we get to go into Casita, a full area based off of Encanto.
Yay.
That's really exciting. And they announced like we're going into Antonio's room, into the rainforest and everything there.
Oh, man.
So I'm really excited about that one. No one can really tell like what type of ride is it? Is it a boat? Is it a trackless ride system? So I'm looking forward to hear exactly what that is. But they also announced like the whole area, like they're creating a traditional Spanish colonial village called Pueblo Esperanza, which is what's really cool about Animal Kingdom is it feels so authentic. Like you can really feel like these are real lived in places. So that's really, really, really cool. The 3 things that like took everybody by surprise, no clue these were coming, but just like erupted the place. Monsters Inc. is getting its own land. They're building an entire Monsters Inc. land at Hollywood Studios, which makes sense. They've already got a whole Toy Story land. So go ahead and, make a Monsters Inc. land. And they announced that they are going to do the first ever suspended roller coaster in a Disney park. And it's the doors. You actually get like the doors through the Monsters Laugh floor, which is, I think everybody, when you saw that movie, were like, Disney, we need that ride. Like, why, and why is it taking you 20 years to realize that this has to be made? But that was a really cool announcement that came out from that. Also, Pixar things coming to the park. They announced that Cars, they're doing another Cars land, but different than the one
They had to do Cars somewhere else.
Well, and I will give you the story here in a second. So they are taking out Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island from the Magic Kingdom, filling it in. And this is in kind of based off of almost like the Rocky Mountains kind of area of the American West, and filling in there. And there will be 2 Cars attraction, one family friendly, one an e-ticket that is like a road rally type of thing. So they said it'll be an original ride. So it's not like Radiator Racers just coming over. It'll be something totally different. I heard from, again, all my crazy YouTube people who've got their insiders, it came down to this area was either going to be Cars or Coco. And the 2 teams were pitching to like Iger and Josh D'Amaro and everything. And the reason why Cars was just like a no-brainer, merchandising.
Yeah.
Like they were able to prove based off of course, Cars Land, but just the behemoth that is the Cars empire.
Still strong.
It's still strong. And the merchandising, right? Like my house is littered with cars, right? So it makes a lot of sense. I'm a little, I don't know. I love the Rivers of America, the riverboat and all of that. But I'm excited about it. And I know like that'll always be in Disneyland. So it gives me like a reason to go to Disneyland and have that. But
because you needed a reason to go to Disneyland.
I know I did. But I am one like we've done like the riverboat quite often, but it makes sense. It makes total sense why they're doing this, that does all of that. Then lastly, the big news, like they saved it for the end. He kind of did the false ending. And then the magic mirror on the wall came on and announced a Villain's Land is coming to the Magic Kingdom. So they're going to do an entire land based off of villains. They said 2 e-ticket attractions, one of which from the concept art looks like a Maleficent roller coaster, like the whole scene there where Maleficent the dragon is fighting Prince Philip, which Disney fans have been clamoring for something like this for who knows how long. So this was a big win for all the Disney fans to get that coming to the Magic Kingdom. And the way they didn't give hard deadlines on everything, but what he said was you're going to be seeing all of this within the next 5 years. So, I mean, they are moving. They are building. They are going to spend that $60 billion.
They for sure are feeling the pressure from Universal. Like, I think no question about it.
They're feeling the pressure because people are starting to see, wow, Universal is doing on par, if not exceeding Disney quality. Yeah. And also, I think you put it in here in the notes, the day before D23 started, they had an earnings call where they said 70% of all Disney profits comes from the parks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is their cash cow. And it's like, you got to keep feeding the cow for it to start giving you cash. And this is them going, can we get another cash cow here?
Let's make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, with the downfall of television, with broadcast like ABC and ESPN, which used to rake them in a ton of money, that thing is dying. So many other companies like Warner Brothers and Paramount are saying we're losing out because of the cable bundles that are going away. Man, they need something, and I think reinvesting in their parks, especially with massive new investment across the street in the same town, like they got to do something. And these are some really cool things that they're launching, big things that people can really get excited about. Like the fact they're already breaking ground on some of these things is pretty awesome.
Yeah, which is what Disney's always been accused of, is they hype it, but then it doesn't actually happen, or they take forever to build it. This is kind of what everybody makes fun of Disney parks for, especially in comparison to Universal, who build super fast. they don't tell you what they're building until like it's almost done. And so they're like, oh, hey, we've got this really cool thing. And it opens next year, you know? Mm-hmm. So hopefully this is a sign of Disney going, we gotta compete. We gotta step it up. And if they do all of this, they will.
So any final words, Eddie, for you as you're just thinking about another D23 in the books?
I do want to go. As I was daydreaming about it, though, I looked over at Sarah and I was like, at what moment would JB's introvertness just like take over and he just shuts down and I'm still over there just like buzzing? Like I just wouldn't. That was the scenario I'm playing. Like, of course I want to go with JB, but this is like our personality differences would just go to their extremes where I would see you just like, this is too many people all at once. And I'm just going, this is so many people all at once. But,
the thing is that I want to go to some of these conferences. I'd love to go to Comic-Con, but there's always these rules and especially Comic-Con, like you got to know all the secret places to get in and when to line up and when things happening. It just feels overwhelming. Yeah. This feels more like there is a direct schedule. You show up to the Honda Center, be there at this time for the main event. They've got tons of other attractions and things to also check out during the daytime. But most of it's released at the Friday night and at Saturday night, as well as a little bit on Sunday.
Yeah. So one day we keep dreaming. Maybe we'll get the
sponsor we've always been waiting for.
The sponsors, and well, let's start with the listeners we've always dreamed of, and then we'll go to the sponsors.
Exactly. Well, before we go, Eddie, I hope you and your family have a good week.
I hope so as well. We've got a little boy turning 6 this week. And speaking of Universal, it's all things Mario. We are taking a page out of the Waggoner playbook there. And the obsession is real. It's just full on. Yeah. We only have Mario Kart for the Switch right now. This comes out on his birthday, so yeah, I think it's worth saying he's going to be getting some more stuff, some more games to play. So
I'm assuming when you guys got a Nintendo Switch, it just like doused kerosene on the flame.
Yes, like we loved the movie. I had a couple of like the free games on my iPad that I'd let him play. Yep. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, it's been strong. And then when the Switch came, like, and we anticipated it, like we moved houses, so we got him, some like bedding and let's make your room a little more Mario themed or whatever. But I think we're gonna go to a whole new level here on Wednesday when he gets some more.
And there's no going back. No. It's all somewhere from here, up here or down here. Just depends on.
And you know what? I think I'm okay with that. Like I don't have any complaints on that, especially like how much fun we had a couple of weeks ago playing together.
Playing online, yep.
Come on, like that's just a blast. So with that, I hope you all are nice and filled up on your Disney nostalgia, your saving money for movie tickets or saving money for a trip to the parks.
Saving money. Yep. But make sure while you're doing that, you subscribe, which is free. It's free to subscribe, guys. Free. Honey, we made a Disney podcast wherever you listen to your other favorite podcasts, and give us a look on YouTube as well.
You know what else is free? Giving us a like, a 5-star review, or sharing it with your best friend.
You can also check us out at honeywemade.com, where you can see all our nostalgic reviews of Disney movies.
Tune in next week as we actually review Babes in Toyland.
Thank you for listening. And remember, Disneyland will never be completed. It will continue to grow as long as there's imagination left in the world.